So Sunday market breakdown. Um, DXY looking good. Essentially looking at more downside potential. Been seeing this nice little break of the phase line. So if I take it like this, and then let's just say we amended it, even so, it doesn't really matter. We broke really impulsively. I would have looked at it more so like this, and then somewhat off. Let's just call it a retest, and then a push away, a break below the line in the sand, and we're basically on the run. So what I do like about this now is if we're looking for more downside to at least reach this level further. Um, and I'll just go to the high time frame quickly. So this was the weekly inflection point. We've kind of broken past it. We came to this point, tapped in, kind of just broke above, pushed in, near miss, we could say, but not really the most relevant. We can always come back later. And then at least we've got something to aim for when we do get really bullish, which is really good. And then yeah, so essentially looking for something on the lower time frame. So stay on the 4 hour until I get some sort of entry into these sort of value areas. So there's no need to go lower. Push up to the override. If we get into the override, look for the 1, 2, 3, push up, push back down, and a flag. Not going to be looking for any sort of risk entry, unfortunately. I'm not going to trade the DXY anyway, but obviously as if I was, and then push down on a flag. If we do extend, which is definitely probable, then I'll look for a push up and then into this sort of value zone here, push down on a flag. Simple as that for the DXY. I'm going to jump straight into the watch list now. Starting with GBP Aussie, basically on the weekly, as we can see that we've tapped into this high value area. The good thing about it is that when we did tap into it, we did have some sort of not the most impulsive progressive momentum, which essentially is quite a good thing at this point because it's shown us that we could potentially have a two-touch flag here, meaning that this is a very corrective middle section for it to be 1, 2, and then potentially just push and continue. Obviously, this can still come down further. However, I think it's becoming more and more probable at this point that one of these override points will be the turning point. So, may it be this point as well here, it doesn't really matter. We just know that this is going to be a very liquid zone for good potential entries. So what I'm really interested in right now is drilling into the 4 hour and seeing this potential 1, 2, 3. I would more so just class this as like one section in itself. Um, but it's more than enough now for us to tap into this area because we can see that many times we came to this zone here, we stalled and we sold off. So seeing how the 4 hour is closed off over here and how the daily isn't the most convincing, but because of this non-progressive impulsive candles, so they're in little chunks and they're actually reducing, and then seeing on the 4 hour how prices, it's not really getting enough to just continue this impulsive leg. So the good thing about it is now when I drill down to the 1 hour, I guess structure is not really the cleanest. I can't really make out anything um, which is, smacks me in the face. But definitely, we do have potential for this to extend and come a little bit further out. It's always a possibility. But at this point in time, there's more than enough to take this for a short. So I think currently what's happened over here is more than enough. We might even just get a small push up and a push back down. It is what it is, but more so sticking to the 4 hour, seeing this 4 hour close, very, very nice pin bar in my opinion. And now seeing this potentially hold off and then just get solid continuation on open, and that'll be really nice during the Asian session. So that's one of the reasons why I'm really, really interested in GBP Aussie this week, and I think it's going to be a really nice pair to trade. New Zealand CAD. New Zealand CAD is pretty straightforward, actually, to be honest. So we've tapped into this sort of inflection point. It's nothing of any sort of major sort of inflection point to myself. It's just a inflection point. But of course, with the reaction we've had, it's definitely formed out to be a very reactive sort of zone. So we've had a very strong bullish push away. Now, catching a sort of risk entry isn't sort of something that I'd be very inclined to do, only because of how impulsive it is. However, tapping into this sort of override zone here, I'd say it's more of a inflection point, but over these 2 points is definitely an area where we could see some sort of pullback because we haven't had any significant daily pullbacks since this massive bull run. Now, we've had this sort of stall over here, and then it has kind of got a little bit corrective. Well, this is very corrective, and then it's basically now moving up an impulse correction, continuation. So we are in sort of an impulsive state, but we've moved into an override point. So I'm kind of interested now to see if we break below this line in the sand. So if we break below this bit and just create some lower time frame continuation, so we essentially just push out here, create some continuation, push out further, create a larger bull flag, then that's somewhere where I might be inclined to look for opportunity. I did sort of drill into the lower time frames as well, um, and I was hoping for something a little bit better. There was this sort of AFT sort of feel to the entry here, which was quite interesting. However, if this was taken, the risk entry would have had been the best trade, and then something around about, I would say. Probably for me, I would probably take something around about 30 pips, so it wouldn't really be much of an AFT entry. Um, However, anything around about 10 pips and above would have still secured you. I know spreads are fairly large on quite a few brokers for New Zealand CAD, so perhaps maybe a 15 pip stop would have been the safest bet. But more so, it definitely looks like it's playing out pretty well at the moment. So it's definitely one to definitely keep an eye on, because I think this one can really commit. When New Zealand pairs do sell off, they do sell off with pretty good momentum. So we'll have to wait and see for this one. Next one I'm looking at is New Zealand Swiss. Now, this is sick as well because it's back in with New Zealand CAD as well, the one we just looked at. So, the cool thing about it is that they've both kind of pushed away from some sort of override zone. Now, there is a uh, high value area overrides, but they're quite far away. And because we've tapped into that inflection zone, just looking at how price has reacted, we've somewhat kind of just fully retraced on the 4 hour now. We tapped in and we just pushed down. So looking at it at one level of momentum, we can even see there was a 1 hour retrace in there. And then also you can probably say that that's an evening star in itself. So kind of looking at this, we do tap into when we do tap into override zones, we do get these sort of retraces and similar sort of price action, which we do get sort of commitment after it. So that's something that I am looking for. I'm looking for this to be the push down and a flag. I don't know how confident I am with this particular flag, but definitely because it's the break of the trend. Essentially, we've kind of tapped into this particular point, and now we're pushing back down. Could that just be the scoop and then the drop? So that's something that I'm interested in. I'm looking at, but yeah, we definitely have a 1, 2, 3, which in my opinion, is more than enough to have that strong impulse and then a flag. So definitely eyes on a good area right now. Just have to kind of evaluate and kind of size up that opportunity. In terms of a reduced risk, it's not really in the best of interest. I mean, it can be taken, but it's more so for 25 pip stop loss. It's not a bad trade. I think right now, if there was a trade to be taken, I would look for that risk entry, but it's hard to catch because there isn't any sort of supporting structure with it at the moment. So more so, yeah, 25 pips not bad because you still have potentially at least 3%. There's more than enough room to manage it if it does commit. So yeah, definitely eyes on that. We might, well, create some sort of ending structure as well. I'm not too sure, not too keen on it, but there's always some possibilities of, you know, something happening in these zones. So definitely have to stay sharp with it, but looking for that push down on the flag ideally. Next one is USD CAD. So USD CAD, we've tapped into the override. We haven't actually hit in the high value area, but I don't think it's necessary because we have a 1, 2, 3. We had the scoop, so call it a cup and handle, whatever you want to look at it. But definitely, this is going to be a very valuable zone. Now, the idea of it tapping into this sort of area just before market close, I've seen it happen a few times. It can mislead people ever so much, and right now, because of how this price is sort of correcting, I wouldn't be surprised if we do get some sort of ascending. And if we do get some sort of ascending, it is what it is. We just catch up there, push down in the flag. But more so, there's more than enough for us to take the trade now. Why? Because if we go down to the 4 hour and we actually look at this for what it is, we are in a strong downtrend. So the trend is confirmed for the sell. The DXY is also selling off, so it makes a lot of sense for USD pairs to be dropping as well. We've tapped into this override zone. We've got this sort of scoop over here. There's this sort of feel to it as well, where could we eventually just kind of, create that sort of bum cheek pattern? But no, really, I think 15 minute, just having a little look over here. 1, 2, 3. It's looking like it's more than enough. This could potentially be an AFT, but that's the line in the sand. If we get a push below it and a flag, that's where I think the real sort of confirmation will be. I don't think that expanding is really something that I would entertain because the angle's not really sharp enough for me. But definitely, we could see something within here. Let's just say something like this happens. That's always a possibility as well, where we kind of just correct, get to this point, and then start scooping back up, and then we tap into something like that. So, being extra aware about any sort of final ending structures within a structure sort of situation, and then also, we've got this to sort of give us another sort of, you know, if we do create that extra scoop that I was just talking about. Um, you know it's there as well, so can tap into multiple areas. um so yeah, I think more so I'll just take it as it is, just look at it. Prices now rejected from this zone. We've had a nice little retrace as well. So this is, I would class this more as an evening star fully right now. Could be potentially flag over here. Not one that I would entertain this flag, but there's a flag over here, and then right now it's just developing, and then we could just get that sell off. So there's a few little ways we can look at this, but like I said, it's tricky because it's ended just at the end of the session. So a lot of traders are going to be looking at this, and I'd like to see how the banks and institutions take this as well, and how the market moves. So it's going to be a really interesting one to observe on market open. And yeah, it'll be cool. Next one is USD yen. Now USD yen is one of my slower ones, but you know what? I've always been a little bit skeptical about yen pairs, but over the past few weeks, and I mentioned it, been doing a lot of back testing, going over them, monitoring them, keeping my eye on all the yen pairs, literally just really observing how price reacts, and how the market moves. And I've really got a good sort of I got a lot more confident, let's say, with this particular um, uh, quote. So trading yen pairs, I wouldn't say that I don't lack confidence anymore. I would say that I've gained enough confidence to actually want to put them on watch now, and actually to take more advantage of these particular pairs. So definitely, for anyone who is feeling like they have a lack of experience, or they trickle too much, or they just kind of very impulsive in the wrong areas. When you do sort of back tests, what you really want to wait for, and how these particular pairs act, and what sort of patterns and what zones you want to get involved in. So that's one thing that backtesting did help me with, and I think a lot of people could benefit from that if they are also feeling the way I was. So just kind of drilling into this. So if we go to the weekly, we can see that we tapped into this high value area. So this was the override zone before the override zone here, and then we had like a little inflection point above it. The gap between here is just huge. So, I think with price getting here, even for it to make that run, it was still quite a lot of pips, 876 to be precise. So I don't think, we had to actually get to that point, but keeping in mind that that is another point that we can still move to because we are still bullish. Now, with the DXY selling off, we can also see the USD selling off, which is really good. The US, I think with USD yen, this is going to be a very good pair, because what I tend to really like about positions like this is when you get a strong impulse and then you get this correction, you get pretty much a similar leg. Um, so that's one thing that I am very much inclined to take advantage of. Now, yen pairs don't usually present the most cleanest of entries, so definitely have to be sharp. And if I miss it, I need to figure out a way that I'm going to be entering on it. Now, more so, I'm not going to try get into the position because I missed it, but it's more so, does it meet up with my plan? So there's two ways I'm going to be looking at this. I'm going to look at this where price approaches up here, taps into this override zone, and then if we don't reach the third touch and we start selling off and creating continuation, would I be inclined to look for it? Absolutely. If it does get to the third touch and then we sell off, I would definitely look for the push down on the flag. But more so, if we push up and we continue, then I'll look for the push up and a flag. This push down and a flag over here is just symbolizing a larger hover that could potentially form. Ideally, it probably wouldn't, because when the sell is ready, we're going to sell off. We're gonna go into an impulsive phase, so we don't need to be there. I'm going to look for AFT in this zone here. Ideally, if we can get pushed back into this pattern, confirming under this override, I'd be more than happy to get involved over here if we get a strong push through. But have to bear in mind, being patient is the most key thing with these particular pairs, because if we get into a position, let's just say over here, right, with call, let's say around about 19. right? Even to that low, that's 14. But then you're looking at the bigger picture with the DXY selling off as well. This has potential to go 50% onwards, you know. It's just obviously just thrown out broadly, but there's potential. There's a lot of potential, especially coming off that impulsive leg. So wouldn't be surprised if we come up to that zone. It's, you know, we're trading in this sort of area here. It is what it is. I don't see the DXY pulling up anytime soon, or neither do I see it with USD yen. So it's definitely a good area for us to be looking to get involved. So that's UJ. And the next one is New Zealand yen. So another yen pair. Like it's quite funny because a few weeks ago, if you asked me about yen pairs, I'd be like, yeah, maybe, you know, maybe I'll go for something else. But now I'm kind of like, yeah, yen pairs, you know. So yeah, look, so this is looking good. We basically broken above sort of all of this sort of price here. Okay, so definitely, you know, people are probably thinking this is going to continue. We're going to get to this value area. Probably will at some point, but I think at this point in time, seeing how prices here, we have a 1, 2, 3, and then we have a pattern within a pattern which happens to be a reversal tapping into the override. Now that's one thing I really like. I like the fact that that 1, 2, 3 is there. We've got this expanding. We're correcting to that expanding. We do have an override before it, which I am also aware of, but I'm not going to be looking for any entries here. Okay, I like the fact that we have the 1, 2, 3 meeting with the 1, 2, 3. Even though we have that, I'm looking for the push down on the flag because obviously from experience, you know, we could still go like this and then phase line in. So, you know, this push down on the flag could change to a phase line entry, could change to a few things. I wouldn't take a phase line entry personally. I'd wait for the phase to be broken and then look for the flag. However, you know, this is like honestly 10 out of 10 for NJ. So I like this pair. It's looking really good, and then at least looking to take it to that low there. If I'm looking at a risk reward as well, let's just say that I take the push and a flag, we get pretty much what I forecast. Um, Obviously, this is a lot larger than I would have expected, but let's say we took it in there, and then yeah, 18 pips wouldn't be uncommon. And then look, 20% and 30%. I mean, that's some decent percentages, you know. Obviously, looking at the larger run, if we do start getting commitment, which I wouldn't say is the most probable, but 43, we might even extend over to 50%. And then if we do get all the way down here, whoa, you know, we're just going into numbers that creates FOMO right now, but you know. Um, Interesting. The management's going to be fun. I think, you know, if we get something similar to this, this will be awesome, honestly. You know, we move in like that, we create some sort of running channel. I think maybe that could be the play though, a running channel, so it could be a bit slower than I expect. Oh well. But yeah, so we kind of just correct and then boom, you know, we move in for the bigger run up here. And then if we do get to this point over here, that's going to be incredible. Imagine the run we get to the ball. Oh man, the honestly, this is going to just be running profit, trade onto trade onto trade. Like that's something that I really like about this pair. So that's New Zealand. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Watch list. Okay, so wild cards. Wild cards. So to be fair, don't really have to drill down to a low time frame too much. The Aussie New Zealand pair is trickling. I mean, it's moving down. Pretty much in this sort of corrective channel. This is the way I see it. So, you know, it's in this very corrective channel. This channel has no sign of any bullish momentum. We are in a downtrend. So, looking for shorts is definitely the main important thing for most people. But I think what we have to understand is that we're approaching this sort of, we double bottomed here before we went up over here. This is an inflection point, an override. I think there's a lot of inflection points on the way down, but we need to be aware of the major points. So, you know, I think these are the points that I would be most interested in and moist. So push down, push back up, and a flag. That's what I'm looking for. Obviously, you have to bear in mind that this could just create a flag and kind of trickle out. So if I really want to be getting involved in this, you know, a proper flag like that is the real gameplay for the trend change. But it would just be more so sort of structural. I think if we do get some sort of structure, this develops into structure, then I could look for more downside. But at this point in time, I think, you know, looking at these override points, if I looked for a push down and push up and a flag, I could definitely be in a very good valuable zone in terms of taking this to the upside. But I don't think looking for buys entirely is the best thing at this point, just because of that strong sellish momentum. However, I am looking to take the pullback, and that is what I'm doing. So it's more of a counter trend play. It's a pullback trade. So that's basically what I'm looking for. Definitely have to be much sharper with your management because we could get an expanding, we could get a few other variations and a bear flag, and sometimes we get tapped in and then we get tagged out and then tapped, it goes back up and it gets messy, and then by the time your psychology is all messed up, and then the trade plays out. So having to know about these things before you enter the trade is definitely something that keeps you sharp. So Aussie New Zealand dollar, it's fairly simple. We've moved down impulsively. I'm looking for a push up and a flag, create that sort of that flag that I'm looking for. And then yeah, see where it goes. And also, if we do sort of reject and we start moving up, then I've positioned myself in an amazing area. So, I think that's something that I'm definitely interested in. But because we're moving in impulsively, I wouldn't be surprised if we do break through some of these. So then essentially, um, I'll be looking at this. So that would move in over here, that would move it over there, and then so forth. And then essentially that is the literal play off how I would be taking this. So it's quite an interesting one. I'm really interested to see how this plays. If we do get reversal structures into these zones, I think that's more so of the gameplay. But let's see how it goes, man. But honestly, Aussie New Zealand, I don't know what I've been doing since October, but I should have really been looking to get involved on this because honestly, it's been committing so well. Honestly, that if anyone's in this trade right now, like drop me a DM on Slack because on Discord because I need to know like how did you get involved in this? What were you looking at? How did you forecast it? I would like to know all of that because I missed it. I missed it completely. Um, and it's one that I really wish I got involved on because there was so much potential. Like after I went back and analyzed it, and it's one of those ones where it has to play out. And then when it's really played out and you look at it in hindsight, you start to realize like, wow, there was there's just so much opportunity. Like I focused on some of the other things and I could have really focused on this one. And yeah, anyway, it's one of them. So uh interested to know. But yeah, thanks. Six. So the next one I've got is Euro New Zealand. So it's kind of cool. I've got Aussie New Zealand and Euro New Zealand. So Aussie New Zealand, same situation. Now this kind of backs me up on my Aussie New Zealand trade, right? Because I see this as a corrective middle section with a 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And then we have the override at the bottom. So we have a 1, 2, 3 leading up to an inflection point. Okay. And expanding. So wouldn't be surprised if this does push lower before it goes up. Hence the reason why I have all those push up and the flags on the Aussie New Zealand pair. And then we push up, we get into that opportunity. Maybe I won't get the flag straight away. Maybe it might be somewhere up here, a little bit corrective, a little bit larger, 1 hour, who knows? And then we push up and then we get to that 1, 2, 3 eventually. We could lead into December, we could lead into late November. Um, it is what it is. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a corrective or impulsive leg. So, though I think it would be, I think it will probably start off corrective and then move off impulsive from, just sort of what I'm kind of forecasting. But, anything can happen. Nobody can determine how the future is going to play out for this. So, definitely be interested in that. Not worried at all about how long it will take. Just more interested in the counter long trade right now, and then look for the push down on the flag when we get there. So that's the gameplay that I'm looking at for Euro New Zealand. And then on the higher time frame, as you can see, we are basically in this very corrective sort of area. We've kind of tapped into this liquid area as well. um, but yeah, just looking at the push down now, the expanding and then the push away, bearing in mind that this can kind of get a little bit more complicated as well. But like I said, I'm more so interested in the short. So I'll take the long if the long is there. If we get a push down and we flag down here, then I'll reevaluate and then probably stay out because this could just become a larger expanding. So like I said, more so looking for the long and then the short. Wow, I had so much coffee today, but yeah, probably you can tell. But yeah, no, I have to do my affirmations actually. I haven't done it this morning, but I'd like to know what affirmations you guys are doing as well, because I do the generic ones that I'm doing for Rewired, but I've also got some other ones that like gratitude and whatnot that I just kind of just say all the time, kind of just brings up my vibes. But yeah, so Euro GBP is actually quite nice. So what I like about it is that it could go two ways right now. So we had this sort of override zone here where I saw this push up from the near miss, and then we pushed up and we basically created this sort of very corrective section here, which I thought, this is quite nice because if we get something similar to this A to B movement, right? Or let's just call it from there, and then we slap that over here, we could tap into their mass psychology, pull back in. That would be a wicked play as well. However, now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, there's more than enough in here for me to say this could just be larger, expanding to here. So it's one of them ones where I think, let's see what happens. But I think I'm more so interested in the short, really so much. Even though we're correctively getting here, I'm interested in seeing this corrective sort of 1, 2, 3. Hence the reason I drew out then the generic box method I use. So just a sort of 1, 2, 3 taps into the override. Don't think it's going to go for the third touch, and then we just sell off. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that nice little trade there. I'm not looking to get involved. On a risk entry. I'm looking to get on, well, it is a risk entry. It's on a retrace candle. So that's what I'll be looking to get involved on. If not, if the flag is off good size, then hopefully I could just slap in maybe something a little bit larger. But looking at the sort of squeezing size of this, right, I think there's more than enough room for me to even get in a refinement of 10 pips maybe. But I'll definitely leave myself some extra room, and probably just go 12 and above. So 12 at the lowest, and between 12 to 18 is what I'm looking for. If I have to go more, then I'll evaluate. But either way, both sides I'm looking at maybe around about 10% being made. So 9 to 10. So yeah, it's not the highest of profitable trades, but it can commit and go further. But even so, I'm looking for an A to B movement anyway. So if we get there, then I can look at maybe a 15% run up, or maybe even a 15% run back down. So interesting. It's good. It's good. All right. The next one I've got is Euro Aussie. Now, Euro Aussie is actually banging. I'm not going to lie. Euro Aussie is a wicked pair. Now, the one thing I do like about it is we are pushing up, and now that we're kind of in the middle, I'm looking for that middle section flag. We're broken above this, we're pushing back down. We could be creating a bear flag. It is what it is, but more so, I'm looking for one, boom, back up, back down, third touch, we're in. Okay, so tap in, tap up, tap down, tap up. So yeah, just basically looking for it to 1, 2, 3. Yeah, simple as that really. I'll look for the retrace candle if it's there. If not, look for the small little refinement, AFT, whatever you want to call it, push up and a flag. Um, and yeah, I'm very, very bullish on this just because we correctively move like this. It's not common for us to correctively move like this and then just sell off. Doesn't happen so much, especially coming off the bat of this expanding. This has definitely, you know, confirmed to me that we are coming into some big gameplay right now for EA. So positioning yourself in a smart position for EA is really good. I did get out of my earlier position, which was over here. It was a 10 out of 10 position in my opinion. So we had two tops, two bottoms. Was it over here? Yeah, I think it was over here. Two tops, two bottoms, and then I was positioned literally in here. I think it was just about there, and then that was it. I think it was just like 18 pips or something like that, and I was in there. So it makes sense why I'm out of the market now because I'm waiting for the larger flag. But I definitely got positioned really well. I think I got out somewhere around about there. Or was it this flag? Anyway, it was one of them. I think it was more so this one. And yeah, it was definitely great positioning. We had the push up and a flag. I was really happy about that. And now we've got the larger flag. So definitely a lot of abundance of opportunity here. EA is going to be wicked. It's one that I really wanted to kind of squeeze onto my watch list, but wildcards watch list. It is what it is. Still got a few days for this to play out. I think Tuesday, Wednesday time. I think more so Wednesday. Maybe Asian session it will be ready. Who knows? But yeah, we'll see. Nice. And then we have CAD Swiss. So CAD Swiss didn't quite make it to my watch list. It stayed on my wildcards. Could play out, could not. It was hard to filter this one though because I was stuck between filtering this one and then filtering through some of my other ones. But there's two ways I'm looking at this. This could potentially, and I'm thinking more so continuation. But because we're at this high value area now, um, I wouldn't be surprised if we sort of, you know, kind of just went boom, tapped in over here, and then we create that sort of descending sort of structure. Wow. And then we come back up. Anything's possible. So this sort of area that things can get complicated. But if you position yourself on that third touch up there, that's going to be enough, like as well. So What I was just looking at, let's say I get a third touch over here and I get in for, let's say, probably squeezing around about um, 18 pips and then let's say a retrace. And I'll just grab, let's just grab a little bit of price like there. Um, yeah, just so you can kind of, you know, whatever. Um, and then yeah, I take it in there, and then you see it, and then yeah, like 7% and so forth, and it could just commit and go. That's the thing. So it's not one that I'm getting in it for the sheer profit. I'm getting in it um, for the for the potential of what could potentially happen, essentially, because of how it's moved, very corrective. I'm definitely thinking that this could pull back up. However, because and it's not uncommon for us to have impulse before we reverse, but we could essentially push through this and then come down even further. So that's what I'm kind of banking on, and I think positioning myself in there could be a strategic play. It's definitely a risky play, but you know, it's a part of the game. But there's enough room to manage it, which is the most important part. And I can't really call the low, so that's one thing that I'm interested in. Um, and yeah, let me just remove this alert because I don't need it anymore. But yeah, so yeah, that's basically trade. So that's CAD Swiss, and yeah, cool. Okay, last but not least is Euro USD. So the one thing I like about it is we've tapped into this inflection zone here. We've had a strong pull out. We've had that corrective squeeze down, and now we've pushed up. We've broken above this, push up and a flag. It's what we've literally been looking at for quite a while. There was the potential for the short, which I was looking at something like that. I think it was more so in here. Unfortunately, didn't get it. So it is what it is, but we got something even better now. We got a break of this trend, we got a push up, and now we're creating the flag for the continuation. Nice thing about it is with the DXY selling off so aggressively, we're seeing similar price action. So if we can tap into that zone there, we can tap into that zone there. Boy, this creates something immense for these particular pairs. And I think the impulsive leg on Euro USD is going to be really good. If we can match the momentum that we've previously had, it's going to be phenomenal. I don't know if it coming off that little flag is going to be enough, but we'll have to wait and see. That impulse down, that flag, it's going to break below all of this price if it goes, and then it's going to create something a whole lot different. We're going to come into this low here before we start creating something a little bit larger, and then maybe we stall throughout December to maybe some point in January, February. So that's something that I'm really excited about. And yeah, I think Euro USD is one to be watched. Definitely wasn't my most keenest pair, but it would be very, very um, I think we're in this particular time for the DXY selling off, and I think if we are looking at pairs, gold, Euro USD are pairs that you should definitely be keeping an eye on if you're not putting it on watch. But honestly, this could just shape up so quickly, and then when it does go, it's going to move into that impulsive leg, and then you're going to wish you were in it. So, for the sake of it, I think monitoring it and actually just seeing it live is going to give you that market experience that's more valuable than even getting involved on the trade. So really excited about Euro USD. And yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Sick. Okay, cool. So that is basically my watch list and wildcards. So the ones that I did filter out for next week was more so EuroCAD. I just don't think it's ready yet. I think something a little bit larger could shape up by Friday, but then maybe we'll be somewhere in the run already, ready to go to that higher point, and then we'll be looking for the push down flag, which is the proper trade for me. Over here, Euro Swiss. I think this actually could be ready right now. Could be just a long play for this expanding. Yeah, not really feeling 10-10 out of it, but it's a sort of push to the high, and then Aussie Swiss. Saw similar things. So we had a middle section pushing up for the 1, 2, 3 override push down on the flag. More so looking at it, we could just kind of trickle in here till Friday, and then next week we might even be ready for the push up. So that's one that I just decided I'm going to leave out. Then I had my purple list, which was basically the ones that I had to squeeze between the orange and the purple, which was the ones that I kept on my wild cards, and then purple's ones I took out. Difficult decision making here because so many good pairs. So I'm seeing this corrective squeeze on Kajian, hopefully for the counter trend play to the short to buy, or potentially just break the line in the sand so we push up and start pushing up higher. More so push down and then see if it comes even further to the override and then goes. few variations. So CADGen was one that I was kind of like, I really want to have this one on watch, but then at the same time, it's not near ready, so it'd be a wild card. So I had to filter out and see, and then I chose Euro USD over this one, which I think is a better decision. GBP CAD. So I'm looking at this more so for a running channel. I would like to see this sort of correct and get its way down here. Probably take a day or two, and then see a impulsive push up, a flag, and then continuation. And then it kind of gives us that running channel, gives us that momentum to finally get to that override two or further. So that's what I was looking at for GBP CAD. GBP Swiss. I think the reason I didn't put GBP CAD on was mainly because I'm looking for I'm asking for a lot essentially. So I think that's the ideal situation, but it's unlikely that it's probably going to be that clean and that play out that way. So for that reason, I didn't want to put it on there, but I would like to see how it does play out. So left it on purple. D GBP Swiss as well, inflection point approached with very corrective sort of price. I'm not too sure about this. If I was going to take this, it's just an inflection point. It's not anything major. I'll be looking for this to create a larger flag and then push up further. There's enough room to manage to the point of interest here, and then we have the override. I think more so this is just an override as well. So this would be override one, and this would be more so the sort of higher value area. Um, let's see, higher value area, mass psychology. Yeah, so that's basically what I'd be looking at there, and then we just got more override points. So see how that goes, but for that reason, I just kind of didn't want to opt in for this one. EJ, EJ was one I did want to get involved in. So I'm seeing this as a corrective squeeze here to push down, create a 1-2-3, come into a 1-2-3, and then we push up. It was nice to look at it inverted as well, because then we kind of see it more so like, we're tapping into that high value area here. Looks so naked without the annotations. But yeah, so yeah, just essentially that's what I was looking at. Just needed to tap in there, and then boom. So I think by next week, so forth, it might be ready. Maybe the week after. So yeah, just I'm looking for that trade down there or up there. Um, Expanding on GBP New Zealand, once again, it's very corrective. It could just keep correcting for quite a while before we even get it. So I'm seeing it tapping down, push up flag, push back up, 1, 2, 3. I did have these on to see if we do tap into them, then I'll be alerted. I think more so, I'd probably keep this one on because I'd like to monitor it. Obviously, it won't be on my watch list or wildcard, so I won't take a trade on it, but I'll definitely be monitoring it. If obviously one of my other pairs in my watch list goes completely AWOL. GBP New Zealand will be the one that I'll probably. No, I won't. No, I won't. It is what it is. So yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, not the cleanest, not the best. Couldn't really say that this is the 1, 2, 3. Could be something a little bit more flat, but it is what it is. USD ZAR. Now this is the one that I was like. But it was the spreads that put me off. I get crazy spreads on this particular pair, so it is what it is. It's another US pair that I think would be 10 out of 10 to have on board. We've had a strong little momentum push down. We're creating a flag. 10 out of 10, honestly. Really love this pair. I think it's sick. Push down and a flag. And yeah, that's the trade. I think that would be a cool trade. I think a few people would probably take that one, and that's it. Didn't opt in for any other currencies. A few of them I just couldn't put on because I just didn't see anything on it. Honestly, just wasn't really something I really wanted to entertain, or it was just too far away. And yeah, so I think yeah, looking back on it now, I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity in the market. I think USD Swiss. I know a few people looking at this short. I'm really interested in to see this go by. I actually saw it come to the bottom of there. Could have bought it, but I think I'm more interested to watch this one and see how it plays out and understand it a bit more. But that's good. Indices look really nice as well. We've tapped into this zone here, pushing low. I think there's definitely some good potential for these, especially the um, some of these other indices like the European countries. They have a little bit of a buy left in them, but some of these US ones, I think they're ready for the short. So, or they're just about to be very near it to the short. So that's something of interest. And then commodities, a bit iffy. Gold is looking all right. If there's a sort of flag here, we might even get a push to go up further, which wouldn't be um, wrong to look at because of what we're seeing with the DXY and what we're seeing with Euro USD. Silver, I just opted out because I kind of just got hit hard a few times by it, and it's just I think it'll play with my psychology a bit, so I just left it away. But yeah, 1, 2, 3. We've had that push away now. We've broken below this mass psychology. We're creating continuation. Create a 1, 2, 3 in here, and then I think with that 1, 2, 3, we could see that go short, and that could be the short play to at least this point or further. So that's pretty nice. We had the override. Unfortunately, I got tagged out by 1 pip or something. It was ridiculous, but it is what it is. Natural gas, nothing to really report on this. And then crude oil and Brent oil are quite nice. So crude oil, we tapped into that inflection point. I would be interested to see if we can push above the line in the sand, and then anything flagging above that would be interesting. Same with the Brent oil. The Brent oil still got a bit of a push down for it, so I wouldn't be surprised if crude oil does come down to its high value area, and then Brent oil meets it in there as well. So that's basically what I'm looking at for all my pairs. So yeah, have a good weekend. Enjoy your Sunday tomorrow. And yeah, thanks. Bye.